Current archaeological sites used to look like just history. The world we live in today was not the same years ago. The Earth went through phases where dinosaurs lived, where different civilizations rose and fell, and the ruins of such civilizations and historical proofs are entirely different today. Ever wonder what archaeological sites used to look like in the past? Sit tight and we'll take you through a ride of history. Sky High Citadel, located in Peru's Urubamba River Valley. The ruins of the famously known Incan citadel of Machu Picchu still stand. It's situated at a height of 8,000 feet, and the primary purpose behind such a construction was to stay safe from attacks. It was first discovered in the year 1911 by an American archaeologist. But shockingly, it couldn't be recognized as a citadel at that time, as the people living there fled the city when the smallpox pandemic began. Since then, plants and weeds have been growing everywhere, giving it the perfect cover to hide. You must be thinking, how did the ruins survive heavy roots and branches? Let us tell you an amazing fact. People who built this citadel did not use cement or mortar. Trees could grow over the ruins. A team of archaeologists, led by Bingham, carefully cleared all the unwanted roots and plants. The complete unveiling of the ruins took about 4 months. But after all the hard work and effort, what the team discovered is mind-blowing. The ruins have only flourished, and they look beautiful and majestic. It's believed to be built in the 15th century when the ruins grew and looked their best. Today's ruins used to be stone houses with roofs created by dried grass. The city used to have a residential area, a separate space for agriculture and farming, and most importantly, the palace of the rulers, like Pachacuti, Inca, Yupanqui. The royal district of this area is super famous, and the architecture is inspiring even today. It is astonishing that the place still stands after so many years. On top of a mountain where the sun shines brighter, the rain and storms are more brutal, and where every element has directly exposed, the ruins still stand. Even buildings that were built recently don't survive minor earthquakes or floods. The Incan architects built something stubborn enough to never fall. The bronze giant. Well, sure, you must have heard about the famous bronze statue which stood in the 3rd century BC in the harbor of the Greek city of Rhodes. It is known the figure is of the god of the sun, also known as Helios, and it was rumored to stand super tall, about 105 feet. This fact will surely fascinate you into learning more about the colossal statue that used to be part of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. Sadly, the figure dropped in 226 BC due to an earthquake that severely hit the locality surrounding the statue. Even today, the remains are visited by tourists, and people remain shocked seeing the foot of the figure still standing. An enemy country raided the city and took the other parts of the same figure. Weirdly, the pieces were melted and sold. The monument is yet to be seen, but it is believed it existed for a long time. Did you know that the space between the harbors is approximately the same size as a football field? And for the statue to stand firm, it must have been around 500 meters tall, which some say was not possible at the time. This is because even today, the tallest statue is about 597 feet tall, the Statue of Unity in India. Hence, people believe that the ancient architects must have needed more knowledge about science and development back then to build a masterpiece like the Colossus statue of Rhodes. Pompeii City, Italy. The city of Pompeii was once covered with volcanic lava, and this disruption was known to be the cruelest episode faced by Italy. A community was eradicated within minutes. This was a very devastating misery that the population of Italy had to go through. Thankfully, almost all volcanoes are not active today, and the ones active have a low chance of disruption. After 1700 years since the traumatic event, archaeologists found the buried city of Romans. You might not believe this, but trust me here, okay? The whole town was preserved due to a thick layer of ash. Even delicate things like art and jewelry remain intact like nothing ever happened. Other things like the walls and architecture of the city remain ageless. Before the volcanic eruption, about 12,000 people happily lived in the city, and the wall art they created, their tools and items were as good as new. They must have been geniuses to build something strong enough to stay alive after years and years. And now the point you've all been waiting for. What did this city look like in the past? But before we get to that, why don't you change the color of the subscribe button from red to that newly found gray? Let the red be a thing of the past. Previously, when the city was ever growing, there used to be a fantastic theater, a gymnasium, and even several temples built in devotion to the Roman gods. One of the famous temples was called Jupiter. Unfortunately, after it was uncovered through the ash, it fell during an earthquake in 62 AD. The wall. All Game of Thrones fans, put your hands up, because you know exactly which wall we're talking about here. Some might think the wall is superficial and created as a fictional item for the show, but it was inspired by a real-life wall that existed long ago. The remains of the wall can still be seen, but it is more like a bunch of rocks standing together symmetrically, but stitched across 73 miles. The archaeological site exists in England, popularly known as Hadrian's Wall. It was built to separate two kinds of rival communities and keep the Hadrian community safe from the barbarians. Even though the remains are short and sweet today, back then in some parts the wall was about 20 feet tall, enough to restrict people from climbing over and ensuring their security. But that's not it. Around 40 mini castles were built along the wall, centered around 17 more prominent forts and some observation towers to monitor the surroundings. In the 5th century, Britain decided to move, which was the beginning of the wall's destruction. People started destroying it and removed its rocks till the wall could not stand properly. The chunks of wall were later used to build other architectural goods like churches and houses. Removal of the stones lasted until the 19th century. After that, it wasn't allowed to pick up more rocks, but unfortunately it was too late. The wall had been damaged, and the destruction of such a masterful construction was done. The ancient civilizations were powerful. They went through hundreds of earthquakes and volcanoes, but survived it all. The most surprising one of them is Petra in Jordan. It is the ruins of a 4th century BCE metropolis. People used a lot of planning to create something inside it. It is a fantastic monument today and still stands undamaged. This archaeological site is similar to what it used to be. The top and most famous archaeological site is the Great Pyramid of Giza. This monument is something we're sure everyone has heard of before. Situated in Egypt, a 450-foot tall pyramid. With the perfect angling in architecture, the Pyramid of Giza is the most intact archaeological site ever. It is also a part of the 7 Wonders today. Previously, it was covered in a sleek white material made of limestone. Eventually, with time, the material faded away, revealing the beautiful pyramid we see today. The Egyptians believed in an afterlife, and the royal pharaohs deserved the best, according to them. Hence, the pyramid was created as a royal tomb. Snefru built the first pyramid for the same reason, and the strength of the pyramid depicts the afterlife of the people buried in the pyramid according to ancient Egyptian laws. Therefore, the Great Pyramids of Giza, where the mummy of the rulers and kings lay safe and sound, has to be as strong as the ruler itself. They have proven their theory by showing us how the kings flourish in their afterlife, and the centuries-old pyramid stands still. Today's architects should surely learn something from the Romans, the Egyptians, and the amazing people who built such spectacular creations that have shown to be durable and robust. Today's buildings don't even last one earthquake sometimes. Still, unlike the several sites we mentioned today, except for the Pyramid of Giza, we saw how different areas are today than they were before. Many more such places exist, and we're here to cover all such facts just for you. So for us, please hit the subscribe button, give this video a solid and sturdy thumbs up, and let us know in the comments what you think about the architecture of the Pyramid of Giza.